Welcome to the Property Guide. This is our weekly comprehensive guide to the property market in India, where we review locations, developers and projects so you can find the right home and make the most profitable, efficient investment when it comes to buying real estate. Now, this show is brought to you by the same team that's been putting together Investors Guide for the last 4 years, and Investors Guide continues to air at these times on ET Now. Remember, when it comes to property, you can send in any question you have to the propertyguide@etnow.com, and I'd like to personally thank you for the wonderful response we've received for the show so far. So this week, we're going to begin by making sense of the new trend of villas versus apartments. We'll tell you what to keep in mind if you plan to buy a villa. We'll also review the real estate market of Ahmedabad, and we'll tell you what the next areas of growth will be in the city and if it's a good investment option for you. In our new segment, Meet the Developer, we sit down and chat with Purvankara. Joining us today to help us make more sense of this confusing real estate market in India is Sanjay Dutt, Executive Managing Director, South Asia, Krishna Research. Sanjay, thank you so much for coming in. Also in our Delhi office, Karthik Verma, co-founder of PropTiger.com. Now, we're going to start off by talking about the trend in cities like Bangalore, Chennai, NCR, specifically Gurgaon and Noida, of builders to construct gated communities with row houses or villas as they're more commonly known. Now, several buyers have begun considering these homes the smart upgrade from a 3-bedroom apartment. The question we're asking this week is, does it make sense for you to buy a villa? Here's a look at all of the big launches we've had for villas in our city this year. Well, Gurgaon has its fair share of villas under construction. The International City by Shobha Developers, Srimandri by Tata Housing, Kingswood Oriental by the JP Group, and Marbella by MRMGF. Moving over to Bangalore, Lifestyle Legacy by Shobha Developers, Napa Valley by the Concord Group in Kanakpura Road, Bella Greens by DLF of Vanagatta Road, and Prestige Golf Shire in Devanahalli. In Chennai, the Palm Villas being built by Unitech, Signature Villas by the Mantri Group, Villa Viviana by Arihant Housing, and Aurum Villas by the Pacifica Group. Well, Hyderabad won't be left behind. Mantri Ruforia is under construction in Narasinghi, and Hanging Gardens Villa by the Lanco Infrastructure is under construction in Manikonda. Alright, let me bring in Sanjay right off. This is new. This gated community, villa, row houses, a lot of identical houses in one community. What sort of response have developers received so far for projects like villas, which are priced fairly high? They're 4 crore and upwards normally in most of our cities. What sort of response have you seen on the ground?
So really, it really varies from cities to cities. Obviously, the tier 1 cities, mostly on the outer periphery, if you look at Gurgaon, for example, and Manesar and further down, where you have adequate infrastructure within the gated community that the developer is providing for, and which means power backup, water, and sewage treatment, and all those things critical. Otherwise, on a standalone villa is very difficult to get in those markets. The response has been pretty decent, and I think it's from different profile and different price band point of view as well. So typically, you will see a mid-segment opting for apartments versus a villa. Then there is another segment which looks at villa as a second buy, more to be associated with lifestyle, second home, and Gurgaon and distances to Aravali or towards Manesar are just decent enough for you to have a second home and being able to throw a kind of a weekend party or something of that sort.
Right. I'm going to bring in Karthik here. Karthik, for an end user who's looking at living in one of these homes, Sanjay has told us about the fact that it's important for us to consider the infrastructure that will come with these communities. Now, if there was someone in your office right now asking you for advice on a villa, what advice would you give them? What should they keep in mind when they're buying one of these properties?
Like Sanjay also mentioned, many of these villas and villa-related projects are coming up in the suburbs of town and at the away from the center, at the periphery. So if your commute is going to change from 15-20 minutes to more like 45 minutes to an hour, first of all, you need to answer for yourself whether a one-way commute of 45 minutes to an hour is something that you can afford. So, for instance, in Bangalore, a lot of the relatively cheaper priced villas, I know you talked about some villas costing 4 crores, which is true, but there are certain villas that are costing about 1.5 crores, 2 crores as well, but they're all coming up at the end of Sarjapur Road, end of Electronic City, and if you do want to live there, it's not the same thing as just being a hop, skip, and a jump to work. and that can decide the quality of life for a lot of people. And if you're looking at it purely from an investment perspective, many of these villas that are somewhat more affordable than the 4 crore variety you talked about will probably need at least 5 to 10 years of infrastructure development going forward ahead. And if you believe that this is an area that will receive that kind of infrastructure development, then by all means, investing in a villa and then by implication in land on which the villa is built can certainly be a good investment, but it will take at least 5 to 10 years to work out.
What do you tell us about Bangalore and Chennai, where we are seeing these villa projects come in right now? Of the cities in the south, which of these cities has a larger market for resale properties? So, for example, if there's someone who's considering investing in these projects for the next 5 years, will he find buyers at the end of 5 years?
Bangalore and Chennai are amongst the most traditional markets, and that's where the original mindset to buy land versus apartment still holds very strong vis-a-vis Mumbai and Delhi, where a lot of lifestyle has changed towards apartments. So really, Bangalore is the highest absorption because of its economic activity and also being able to attract foreign investors to that city as a place they would like to own a real estate. And therefore, opportunities being offered in Bangalore with good titles and good quality infrastructure. And Bangalore is also one of the markets where the developers are far more mature than many other parts of the country, and they're far more professional and transparent, giving really good quality stock and infrastructure around the development. So really, Bangalore would score high, although Chennai is again a very good market, again traditional market, and opportunities on the outer peripheral locations of Oragadam, OMR, beyond Sirsuri, or even up to Pondicherry and all, where a lot of township projects are coming up, holds equally well, and the prices are again very attractive.
So, when you talk about Bangalore, there are two main areas where a lot of these villa projects are coming up. One is, of course, the Devnali area near the new airport. And then there's the other end, which is the Whitefield, Sajapur Road that Karthik mentioned. Of these two areas, if there was someone looking to buy a villa as an investment, which direction would you point them in?
So, if you're an entry investor where you are seeking value, and if you want higher percentage of return and growth in capital appreciation, maybe Devnali would be the right place to invest, because the entry point is very small. So your investment could be at 30 lakh rupees to a small unit can go up to 1 crore and 2 crore from land investment.
Right.
Whitefield obviously is expensive and it has its own economic environment. It's almost like a city within a city, and therefore people who work there, they aspire to own, and therefore the values are higher.
And Karthik, for those of our viewers who are considering a villa to live in, could you give them a checklist on developers at this point? Because this is also, like we talked about last week, this would be on some level a luxury product, which means that there should be far more homework going into the background of the developer, shouldn't there?
Like you said, many of these villas run into the price close to a few crores. So you want to ensure that the quality of construction is very, very good, and the land is being well utilized. All the plans that they have in terms of landscaping, all the amenities, the gated community, the functionality, clubhouse and so on within the gated community of the villa, access to the highway, and all sorts of other factors also come in. It's just that they get more intensified when you're spending a few crores as opposed to just say 40 or 50 lakhs buying something in a group housing project. You also want to understand whether the power backup is an individual one that's given for every unit, every villa, or is it just a community one that's shared within the entire development and so on.
So that's a checklist you can use if you're looking at buying a villa that you want to live in. And as far as investment is concerned, Sanjay, they're telling us that Bangalore and Devnali in Bangalore is possibly the most robust market for villas right now. In fact, we had a question from Vivek Nair, who wrote in saying that he's looking to buy a villa or a row house in Bangalore with a price limit of 75 to 80 lakh rupees. He wants some suggestions. Well, what we've done is we've got our panel of experts together to draw up a list of projects from across the country for villas right now that make sense both from a price point and an investment point of view. Take a look. Well, if you're in the market to buy a villa, our panel of experts have put their heads together and drawn up a list of projects that they think offer bang for the buck. Lifestyle Legacy by Shobha Developers in Bangalore, priced at 10,500 rupees. Urbana Arcadia by the Ozone Group, also in Bangalore, and Devanahalli, priced at nearly 6,500 rupees. Bella Greens by DLF off Banalgata Road at 8,814 rupees. The Embassy Group's Embassy Grove in Murgeshpalya, priced at 15,000 rupees. Augusta Golf Village by Prestige in Hennur at 6,000 rupees a square foot. Aurum Villas by the Pacifica Group in Chennai, priced at 4,570 rupees, and the Signature Villas by the Mantri Group of ECR Road in Chennai, priced at 8,340 rupees. Alright, so that was a list of villas from across the country. We have a few more questions I'd like to answer. Sunil has written in, he's looking to buy a 2-bedroom apartment in Thane, preferably a property which is ready to move in a year or two. He wants some advice. Sanjay, what advice would you give someone looking for an apartment in Thane right now? A lot of construction there.
Yeah, a lot of construction and very promising market. It has appreciated substantially over the last few years, and the quality of development has also improved. So really, Golbandar Road or on the main highway itself, much before you touch Bhiwandi, are the right two corridors where one should invest. Obviously, if you have a specific budget, Golbandar Road would be more apt because it will be closer to a very large emerging micro market in its own, because going very close to station in Thane would be too expensive.
Also, he would be able to wrangle a better price right now from anybody building at Golbandar Road?
Obviously, something under construction would be more apt than going for a ready property, which would be very expensive.
Alright, it's time for us to take a very quick break. Remember, there's an email ID at the bottom of your screen. You can send in any question you have about property or about the legal aspects of buying property. On the other side of this break, we'll discuss Ahmedabad as an investment option. We'll tell you what areas of growth we foresee in that city. Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide at 18 now. Thank you so much for staying with us. Our guests, Sanjay Dutt and Karthik Verma, are still with us, helping us make smart investments when it comes to property. Now this week, we're focusing on Ahmedabad's real estate market. Of course, one of the reasons why we're focusing on it is because Narendra Modi being a PM candidate might in fact change the prospects of the city going forward. Is it time for you and I to consider making an investment? And we bring in my colleague Avan, who will give us an update on how real estate residential property prices have moved in Ahmedabad over the last 5 years, and now we'll come back and talk about it. Avan.
Thanks, Faye, for that. Well, residential property prices in Ahmedabad have remained sluggish for the last 4 years. Satellite, which is located in the western part of Ahmedabad, has seen property prices in the mid-segment increase to 4,300 rupees per square foot in 2013 from 3,800 rupees per square foot in 2010. This is one of the most expensive locations in the city. The Basrapur location is the most reasonably priced location in Ahmedabad. The residential property prices in the mid-segment at this location have increased by merely 400 rupees. The residential properties in this location were priced at 3,500 rupees per square foot in 2010 and are now priced at 3,900 rupees per square foot. The SK Highway, or the Sarkhej-Gandhinagar Highway, which connects the city of Ahmedabad with Gandhinagar, the capital of the state of Gujarat. Now, this location has seen the prices increase from 3,800 rupees per square foot in 2010 to 4,300 rupees per square foot in 2013. Palhadnagar, that has seen the most increase in its price in the last 4 years. The residential property prices here have moved from 3,600 rupees per square foot in 2010 to 4,300 rupees per square foot in 2013. With that, it's back to you, Faith.
Alright, Avan, thank you for that update. Sanjay, the city has not managed to attract a lot of white-collar talent. There hasn't been too much immigration in that area, in the Ahmedabad area. How do you see it going forward? And now that it's fielding a prime ministerial candidate, will that change things for Ahmedabad in the future at all?
I think that Ahmedabad is one of the cities with a lot of future potential and growth. And yes, Gujarat as a state has benefited from manufacturing more than services sector. And that's why the appreciation in capital values has been phenomenal in most parts of the state, not just concentrated in Ahmedabad. And that's probably the reason why there is not as much price increase vis-a-vis Mumbai, Delhi and other markets, or even Bangalore and Chennai. But I have absolute faith that this city will witness a good upside because the quality of infrastructure and the economic activity and the investor-friendly policies of the government, which with Narendra Modi, although I have my doubts whether he will reach in the next election, but he's definitely a future potential candidate as well, would also help the city to grow.
Karthik, the interesting thing we've noticed in Ahmedabad over the last year or so is that a lot of national developers are now building in Ahmedabad, and that was one of the problems the city had about 4 or 5 years ago. There weren't any big names constructing in that city. Now there are. Would you say the quality of construction and the quality of projects that we have to choose from as investors has improved drastically? And are there good options for us at good prices in Ahmedabad?
Yeah, certainly. We've had developers like Godrej and Tata Housing go in there. Adani, that's a local home-bred developer and company, has got projects in Ahmedabad as well as in other parts of the country, like in Gurgaon, NCR. So certainly with the introduction of brand names like Godrej and Tata, it'll only help the reputation of all the developers and the sector as well. And the prices they've been operating at, many of these developments have come at, close to 1 BHK level or 2 BHK level. So these are probably starter level homes that are catering to people who've got a salary of close to 5 to 7 lakhs in terms of their ability to lever that up through a housing finance loan and buy something. We've also noticed instances like Adani Pratham, for instance. They launched an 800-unit development which got sold out. So it's not unheard of for very good absorption to happen if the brand name is very good. And I've got no doubt that as more developers consider the state of Ahmedabad, and it'll happen over time, not overnight, and as more job creation happens locally in the state, other developers will also have similar experiences to what Adani Pratham enjoyed.
Well, what's your advice to end users currently looking at buying homes in that city? What neighborhood are you pointing them in?
Well, the bulk of the development is happening on the SG highway. There are some projects that are coming up in Valsad as well. So I'd probably say stick to, the SG highway. That's the road connecting Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar. That's probably the best neighborhood.
Well, let's talk about investors at this point. Would you recommend SG highway to them as well? Because there's a lot of supply coming up on that road. And a lot of those blocks and apartments and row houses are empty.
If you can afford it, and if you buy inside the city, your certainty of return, one, will be higher. Second, percentage would be even higher because eventually the rich and affluent would like to live in the city. And therefore they would pay a premium to live in the city. While the entry price of outer peripheral location is attractive for people with smaller budgets, and it may be the best thing for them to do. But in terms of return, the future, if you strike all that balance, it makes sense to buy in the city, in my opinion.
All right, so that's Ahmedabad for you. Very interesting, Karthik. They're telling us that if you're buying a home to live in now or in the future, it makes more sense to consider the SG highway that connects Ahmedabad to Gandhinagar. But Sanjay telling us if you're looking for an investment, if you're looking to make a lot of return, look at the heart of Ahmedabad. What we've done, of course, asked our panel of experts to put together a list of projects that are currently under construction and open for booking in the city of Ahmedabad that you could consider. Take a look. Well, if you're one of our viewers who wants to bet big on Ahmedabad and its future, here are a list of projects that our experts recommend. The Adani Pratham and the Shantigram Angan by the Adani Group, both priced between 2,500 to 3,000 rupees off the SG highway. Vrindavan by the Godrej Group, also off the SG highway, priced at 3,060 rupees. New Haven Compact by Tata Housing at 3,375 rupees a square foot. Blossom and Echo by Swagat Infrastructure, both off the SG highway, priced at 3,111 rupees. Alright, so that was a list of projects that you can consider in Ahmedabad. I'm going to take a few more questions. We get a lot of questions from Bangalore on this show. Murli has written in, he would like to buy a 3-bedroom apartment in Mansri Web City on the Hennur Road. He wants to know if that makes sense. Hennur Road's got a lot of construction coming up as well, but it's also an alternate route to the new airport. Yes. Now, do you think of that as a better option to perhaps Devnali, or how do you expect it to grow?
This is definitely a great location, great investment. And I think the economic activity in this area will happen sooner than Devnali. Devnali, of course, is more like a second home market. This actually is a potential immediate market if you're working somewhere close by. So between Hebbal, Manyata, Yelahanka, and certain kilometers even north and east would create enough economic activity, and therefore the value and appreciation in those prices would go up substantially.
We're going to take a very quick break here. I have to thank both of our guests for joining us. Sanjay, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Karthik Verma joining us from Delhi. If you'd like to ask our guests any questions, send it to an email ID at the bottom of your screen. When we come back, we'll sit down with Purvankara and discuss the company's future plans and see what they have locked up their sleeves. Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide on ET Now. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's now time for our brand new segment, Meet Your Developer. And on the segment this week, as we launch it, we have Ashish Purvankara, Joint Managing Director, Purvankara Projects. Ashish, many thanks for making time to be with us on the show.
Thank you.
My first question to you obviously has to do with all of the news reports we've been reading over the last month or so that tell us the market is cracking, the prices are coming down. Now, you are particularly invested in the market in the south of India. Have you noticed anything of the sort at all? Do you believe prices will come down going forward?
Not at all. In fact, all southern markets, the key markets that we operate in, have been doing really well. I'll take you back to a launch that we recently had about 3 weeks ago on Sajapur Road, and that's also sold. We sold almost close to 40% over the last 3 odd weeks. So the markets have been very strong, very stable. Chennai alike, sales have been very, very strong.
Well, Ashish, tell us what's on the pipeline for Purvankara in terms of new launches. What can we look forward to from both of the brands, the high-end and the affordable segment?
Over the next 2 or 3 quarters, you're going to see a total launch pipeline of about 10 million square feet, out of which about 2.5 million will be under the Provident brand, and 7 odd million square feet will be under the Purvankara brand. Breakup of that is basically about close to 5 million square feet will be launched in Bangalore under Purvankara, about 2 million square feet in Chennai. The 2.5 million square feet under Providence will be launched in Bangalore.
Could you tell us what areas you're considering and what sort of projects are we talking about? Are we talking about luxury projects here?
Yeah, these are luxury projects, basically spread out. One is near north of Bangalore, right in the beginning, near Hebal, which is Hennur Road. And then the other one, the focus area is basically south, around Sajapur Road.
I also want to ask you, for those of our viewers who are investors and are interested in Bangalore right now, what sort of appreciation have you seen from the projects that you've launched so far? And do you notice a larger response then for the affordable segment?
No, I think both luxury as well as affordable has done really well. So conservatively, you can expect anywhere between 15 to 20% sort of an annual appreciation. So people tend to really get a lot of value when they get in right in the beginning, that is during the launch, and wait till the project is completed. So that's where you can really extract the maximum appreciation from your investment.
All right, so that was Ashish Purvankara and our Meet Your Builder segment. If you have a question for him as well, you can write to us. Email ID is at the bottom of your screen. It'll be our pleasure to answer your questions on the show. That's a wrap on the Property Guide, unfortunately. You can find a copy of the show on our Facebook page, and you can reach me personally on Twitter. Thanks for watching.